Hey everyone, welcome to this new episode on AI where we're going to talk about MCP, Model Context Protocol. So, MCP is how AI assistants connect your external tools like database, your network resources, and APIs. So, today we'll do a quick breakdown on core concept of MCP, the transport method it uses, and how fast MCP framework really works. And in the next video, we'll go completely hands on and set everything from scratch. So I'm very excited about this topic. So let's dive in. Alright, so what exactly MCP and why it is so important to learn now? So let's break it down. AI assistants like Claude are incredibly powerful. They can interact, they can understand the natural language, reason through the problems, and help with complex tasks. But here is the thing, they are isolated. They can't directly access your tools, your database, or your network infrastructure. So before MCP, if you want Claude to interact with NetBox or Ansible or any other tool, you would have to build a custom integration code. Every tool needs its own special connector. This was messy, time consuming, and hard to maintain. So MCP changes everything. MCP, Model Context Protocol, it's a universal standard. Think of it like a USB for AI connections. So before USB, every device had its own connector. Printer, keyboards, camera, all different. USB standardizes everything. Now one port works with the thousands of devices. So MCP does the same thing for AI. One protocol to connect any tool. It was developed by Anthropic and it is completely open source. Okay, let's have a look how MCP is structured. So there are three main components. First is MCP host. This is the AI application like Cloud Desktop, Cloud Code, or even the VS Code with the right extension. The host is where you interact with AI. It is a user interface. Then comes to the MCP server. It acts as a bridge between the AI and your tools. So it receives the request from the host, translate them to API calls, and return the results. And we'll be using NetBox MCP server in the next video. Third comes to the resources. So these are like actual data sources like NetBox API, database files, or network devices. The MCP server knows how to talk to these resources. The host and the server communicate using JSON RPC protocol, a simple request response format. MCP server can expose three types of capabilities to the AI. First is tools. Tools are the function the AI can execute, like get all devices or find available IPs or create a new subnet. Think of a tools as an action that AI can perform. Second is the resources. Resources are the data AI can read, like documentation, configuration file, or reference material. The AI can pull this information into its context. Third comes to the prompt. Prompts are the pre-built template for common tasks, like analyze the network health or generate the compliance report. For the network automation, tools are what we will use most. So when you ask Claude list all devices, it calls the get interface tools on the MCP server. Let's talk about how MCP hosts connect to the MCP servers. So there are two main transport methods, STDIO and HTTP. And understanding this will help you to choose the right setup. So STDIO stands for Standard Input Output. This is the most common method used for local development. So how does it work? So when you start the Claude Code, it spawns the MCP server as the child process. So communication happens through the standard input and output stream. It's like two programs talking through a pipe. Simple setup, just point to the server script. And secure, no network port open, everything stays local. And this is best for the local development and single user scenarios. However, the limitation is that we must run the same machine as host and can't share the server across the network. And we can see in detail during our next hands-on video. Alright, so HTTP transport run the MCP server as web service. It uses server send event or SSE for the real-time communication. And this is more flexible than HTTIO. The servers can run on a different machine and multiple hosts can connect to the same server. And it also works great with the Docker containers and better for the team and production setup. However, this is slightly more complex and requires network configuration. I need to think about security, authentication, and firewall rules. And it uses HTTP when you need to share MCP server across your team. So let's quickly understand when should we use which transport. So for local development, use STDIO. For cloud desktop on a same machine, use STDIO. For MCP server on remote server, use HTTP. For Docker deployment, use HTTP. For team shared, use HTTP. And if you're just getting started, use STDIO. So bottom line is start with STDIO, then graduate to HTTP when you need more flexibility. Now let's talk about FastMCP. This is really interesting. FastMCP is a Python framework that helps building MCP servers incredibly fast. So if you have used Flask or Fast API for the web development, FastMCP will feel familiar. So it uses the same idea, symbol decorator to expose the functionality. And here is the simplest possible MCP server with FastMCP. First, import the FastMCP, then create an instance and add tool decorator to your functions and run it. That's pretty much a code for a simple FastMCP. AI can now call these functions. Notice the docstring like get all network devices. These are important. AI read this to understand what each tool does. Good docstring help AI to use your tools correctly. The NetBox MCP server we're going to use built on FastMCP. So FastMCP has several decorators. The tool decorator exposes the functions as a callable tools. The resource decorator exposes the data as a readable resource. The prompt decorator creates a reusable prompt template. It also handles auto documentation from your docstrings, type validation using Python type hints, and both stdio and HTTP transport are built in. And in the upcoming video, we are actually going to build a custom MCP server using FastMCP to run the commands on the network devices. Alright, that's a quick guide on MCP fundamentals. So now we understand what MCP is, how it architectured and its transport method, and how FastMCP makes building servers easy. In the next video, we go completely hands-on. We'll install Claude Code, set up the NetBox MCP server, configure everything, and finally query our network infrastructure using natural language. So stay tuned for this one. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon on the next video.